with Hannah Murray.
Good afternoon. Joining us on the line now is Mohammed Kamel, whose day job is an English teacher and he's long dreamt of being an actor. Well, his dream came true recently after he bagged a key role in the new Netflix series of The Crown. He plays Ali Al Fayed, the brother of Mohammed Al Fayed and the uncle to Dodi. Welcome to the show, Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Hannah. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. And how wonderful to be part of The Crown. It must have been so exciting.
It's so exciting. And even now, it hasn't sunk in. Like after I've watched the episode 100 times. You know what I mean? And knowing that I was there and I was actually playing the character and we filmed it, it still hasn't sunk in. It's a surreal feeling.
Oh, wow.
Really is.
So how did it come about then? You were working as a teacher and how did the opportunity of this role come into your life?
Well, I since around 2015, I had decided to, with a bit of inspiration after meeting a friend who's a fellow actor called Hainsley. And I thought I'd give acting lessons a try. I'd always been a fan of film and loved the idea of movies and actors. And I'd always been interested in films growing up, like The Godfather, Bruce Lee's Enter the Dragon, those types of movies. And my dad was a journalist and a screenwriter in his country before coming to England. So I'd always had that background, Hannah. But never thought, I'm actually going to be an actor one day. It sort of never crossed my mind. Then around about 2015, as I said, I met this actor called Hainsley, and I thought, okay, through his inspiration, I'm going to give these acting lessons a try. And I went to drama school in the evening. So I worked Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 as a teacher. Straight from work at school, jumped on the metro, on the tube, and went to drama school.
Wow.
4 evenings a week. Yeah.
And did you enjoy it? Did you love it straight away?
Oh, straight away. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I just love being part of that group, having like-minded people around you who were all, because we were all doing that evening drama school course together. So we were all in that same boat. All people who are working during the day, having to put food on the table, but in the evening pursuing this dream, being involved in acting, being involved in theatre, in film, in television,
Yeah, so for people to do an evening course while they're working during the day, you'd all be there because you all really, really want to be. So you'll all have that passion and drive to be doing it. So it must be lovely being around people in the same boat like that.
Exactly, and knowing that they shared your passion and shared your drive, as you said, it just kind of inspired you to up your game as well, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
So how many auditions and other things had you done before The Crown?
Before The Crown, I'd been doing a few auditions. The auditions which I did face-to-face, if we go back to, say, 2018, 2019, I've been doing auditions face-to-face, and some of them I got very close to. You've heard of a show on Netflix called The Witcher?
Yeah.
So I had an audition for that, which went very well. Got quite close, but not quite there.
Oh, it must be so frustrating.
It was frustrating, but perhaps it was a blessing in disguise, because not getting that role, and then a few months later, I did this audition for The Crown, initially via videotape. And when the director saw the videotape, he was like, yes, call this man in. I want to see him face to face. So it was very exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you going up for a specific role? They were looking for a British Egyptian actor to play the role. Were you going specifically for the role of Ali Al Fayed?
Yes. So when your agent puts you forward for a role, it always is very specific. So they're answering a particular breakdown. The casting director will put a breakdown of a character out there, and then the agent puts forward people specifically for that particular role.
So when you were going for it, when you did the audition, how much did you know about Ali Al Fayed as a person?
I knew as much about him as I knew about Mohammed Al Fayed and Dodi.
Yeah.
So obviously I grew up, although I was born in England and I'm English born and bred, I have that Egyptian family background through my parents and so on. So uncles and aunties, that kind of thing. So you hear stories, in the ether, and you hear from people who'd met Mohammed al-Fayed and Ali al-Fayed and the third brother who's called Salah. And you hear stories about them, what they're like in person, people who'd worked with them. One of my mum's friends was an Egyptian lady who'd worked in Harrods.
Oh, wow.
So she'd met them a couple of times and had some interactions with them. So little snippets here and there. And one of my cousins is really into business. You know, he's self-employed. He's got his own business. So he'd seen a lot of motivational videos from the Al-Fayed brothers talking about how to start businesses and so on. So, but I didn't know the character of Ali Al-Fayed that well.
Yeah,
I had to, when I received the script, I had to sort of fill in the gaps and use my drama school training, which is, you know, you see a character, if you don't know that much about them, there are things that you have to try and imagine yourself or invent yourself to give the character a backstory. And that helps you then to bring it to life, both in the audition and obviously once you're on set and you've got the part.
Yeah. So Ali was instrumental in helping Mohammed acquire both the Hotel Ritz in Paris in 1979 and Harrods. You know, they very much worked together, didn't they?
That's right. And Ali was very much the voice of reason. So, you know, whereas Mohammed is perhaps, of course, still a very clever and calculating businessman, perhaps he's a bit more impulsive.
Yeah.
Whereas Ali was the brother who's more, let's look at this coldly. Let's look at it dispassionately. Let's weigh up the pros and cons. You know, let's weigh up the finances. So he was more sort of like the voice of reason and reining in any excessive spending, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah. You talk about, there was an article I read when you talk about meeting the Australian actress Elizabeth Debicki, who plays Princess Diana, and how lovely she was. Yes.
Yeah, that's right. That was, I mean, can you imagine, Hannah? It's your first time, you know, you're a new actor. It's your first time getting a role on a show of this size. And on your first day having your wig fitting, you meet Elizabeth Debicki, you know.
Who looks like Princess Diana.
Who looks like Princess. I mean, it's just extraordinary. And just something I've noticed, not just while I was on set on The Crown, but stories that I've heard from other actors. When you meet people who are at that level, they actually, the higher they become more humble and more down to earth and more friendly. It's extraordinary, really. And the way she was just so kind, so friendly. She had a lovely chat with me, offered to make me a coffee. My first day, you know, in the hair and makeup truck. And it was just so lovely. No airs, no graces. And it makes you feel, hang on, I'm going to have a good time here.
Yeah.
Everybody's friendly, everybody's welcoming. Even the huge star, the biggest star, is just so friendly and down to earth. So what have I got to worry about? You know?
Nice.
Yeah.
And what are your kind of thoughts on? There's been so much controversy with the latest series of The Crown, particularly. Obviously, we're getting closer and closer towards the present day, and many of the people in this series of The Crown are obviously still alive. The boys, particularly William and Harry. There's been a huge spotlight on this series, saying, "Oh, you know, there's so much of it that isn't true, and people watching it will assume that it is true, and all the potential damage that will cause." You guys that are actually involved in The Crown, what are your kind of thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there are 2 points to make here, Hannah. Firstly, whether those scenes are included in The Crown or not, or in another program or not, it doesn't alter the reality of what actually happened historically. So that trauma, because you mentioned, you know, the princes, you know, they're still alive, and it's very much in their memory the tragedy that their family went through. But that reality is always there. So whether it's in a TV program like The Crown or a documentary, or whether it's nowhere, they'll always carry it with them. And I know that from first-hand experience, because I lost my father 2 years ago. Sorry. Whether somebody makes a documentary about my father or not, I will always have that memory, won't I? So I think when it is addressed in a program like that, it can help everybody have a wider discussion. And it can bring comfort to other people, because we look up to the princes as role models. So if we see that, you know, they've been through the same things that us normal human beings go through, and they handled it with grace and dignity, and they've come through the other side, it actually gives us inspiration to think, oh, I can also get over the traumatic events in my life too.
Yeah.
So I think that's the first point. And the second thing I'd like to say on it is that, as Leslie Manville, who plays Princess Margaret, said when she was doing her interviews, nobody should look at The Crown as a documentary-like production. It's not. It is a work of fiction. It's based on true events, but obviously, when you're making a TV show, you're concerned primarily with entertainment.
Yeah. And
so in order to entertain the audience, you might take a few liberties with the truth just to make it more exciting for the audience. So I think most people, I would say 99% of people watching, know this is a piece of entertainment. It's a work of fiction, although it is based on true events.
Yes, artistic license and all that.
Artistic license, yeah.
Yes. And I know you were incredibly impressed with the hair and makeup team. You're bald naturally, and they made you hair.
They made me look great with hair. I even said to them, "Is there any chance of me taking this wig home?" They said, "No chance. We need to use it on different productions." Okay.
Oh, shame.
Yeah.
Amazing, though.
Amazing.
And
but there are,
No, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say there are, because we talked about meeting Elizabeth Debicki, but there's also people that I would have loved to have met that didn't get the chance to, So, for example, we were just talking about the hair and makeup truck. When I sat down in it the first time, I noticed that the girl who does my hair, fantastic lady called Frankie, she has all these pictures up on the wall of the person who's the actor and the person who's the character they're playing.
Okay.
So I saw my picture side by side with a picture of Ali Al-Fayed. So she's using it for reference.
Yeah.
And then next to that, I saw a picture of Timothy Dalton and the picture of Group Captain Peter Townsend, which is the character Timothy Dalton is playing.
Yes.
So, of course, it took me... I'm looking at the wall, staring at it, Hannah, and it took me a few seconds to process it. And then suddenly I was like, Frankie, is Timothy Dalton in this series of The Crown? And she was like, yeah. She was like, we're doing his hair and makeup for his part. And I'm like, oh my God, am I going to get... And I was so excited. I was like, am I going to get the chance to meet Timothy Dalton?
Play it cool, Mohammed. Play it cool.
Yeah. But I couldn't. I just really... I was like a fanboy, And I kept scouring the script, Hannah, hoping to find any scene or any day of filming where we might be even in the same vicinity,
Oh, but you
but
weren't,
unfortunately,
I take it.
It never happened. So.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah.
What a shame. Yeah. Well, you're going to be back. You're reprising the role of Ali Al-Fayed in Series 6 when it airs next year.
Yes, that's right.
Great.
So we're actually currently in the process of filming for that. So, of course, I have to keep stum. No spoilers allowed. But yes, all I can say is I will be returning for season 6, but I can't say any more than that.
Okay, no, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yes, I was wondering. I thought there was going to be more. That I'm not going to ask you to reveal anything. Don't worry. But I thought there was going to be more that was going to happen when Series 5 ended. There wasn't much of a finale, shall we say? I thought there might be more happening. So there's obviously more bigger events, I guess, to come in the next series.
Well, as Sir Ian Richardson used to say in that old BBC show, House of Cards, you may very well think that, but I couldn't possibly comment.
Well done.
I will leave it to your speculation, Hannah.
Yes, fair enough. Well, if people haven't seen it yet, they must. Series 5 of The Crown is out now on Netflix, and Mohammed Kamel, who we've been chatting with, plays the part of Ali Al-Fayed, the brother of Mohammed Al-Fayed and the uncle to Dodi. Mohammed, thank you so much for joining us. It's been great to chat with you.
And you too. Thank you for having me.
Hope to see more of you on TV.
Yes, I hope so too.
Thanks, Mohammed. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Talk Radio Europe. He's slow, a bit